Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the 808 Podcast. Podcast where I interview business owners, CEOs, marketing people, whoever else I feel like. 4 questions, 8 minutes and 8 seconds, because 808 looks like Bob, and here we go. Question number 1, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what do you do?
I'm Jason Lauritsen. I am a father, I am a husband, I am a lover of people and a believer in human potential. Professionally, I am a speaker, trainer, author, writer, advisor, and I help primarily managers understand how to cultivate performance through relationships.
Perfect, Jason. Question number 2, what advice would you like to share? Go.
Well, the advice I'd like to share today is, I call it my golden rule of management because I found it to be so powerful throughout my career and in my teaching. And it is this: it is, if it matters, write it down. And that specifically has to do, normally I came to this because what I have found is that oftentimes when performance breaks down, so if you have people on your team that aren't performing very well, it almost always, and I'm going to say 90% of the time, can be tracked back to a lack of clarity and expectations. The person didn't really have a good understanding of what was expected. And so to address that, the best way to do it is get it written down on paper. So that can be specific things like, my goal this quarter, this month, this week is to sell 15 widgets. It can also be, and this is a really important piece, it can also be about behavior. What does appropriate behavior look like in a meeting, or look like as a team member, or look like as a person who's working in this organization? So if it matters, it should be written down.
Okay, so give me an example of someone that you've worked with who started writing everything down and the results they got.
Sure. Well, I can provide an example of this. Actually, I'll provide an example first of when it went wrong, because I just did this recently. It was one of these things where, we sometimes don't take our own advice. I was doing a project with a colleague, and we've known each other for a long time. We've wanted to do a project together for a long time. And so when the opportunity came, we sort of jumped into it and we started barreling through it. We started working on it. We got, a month or so into the project, we were coming to when we were actually going to deliver the thing. We were putting on sort of a little event together. And in the day before, my friend said to me, this isn't really how I envisioned this was going to go. I feel like I've kind of gotten dumped on. I feel like I ended up doing a lot, it didn't go at all the way that I had envisioned it should go. And so it was one of those things. We didn't talk about it up front. We didn't clarify who was going to do what, how this was going to go, how we wanted it to go. So we didn't write it down. I've had other examples, and I'm going to use myself as another example just because I'm the best guinea pig, where, like, what I learned early on, when I had teams, is that if I didn't write with my team, if I didn't put down kind of the I guess behavioral expectations for the team that I expected, then they would never behave the way that I expected, and they wouldn't buy into that. And so the way that I went about doing that, what I learned to do was that I would start by writing down the things that I expected of them, that often you wouldn't articulate. Things like no excuses, things like know why you do everything you do, things like assume positive intent, things like that. I would write it down. I would share it with my team, say, hey, here's sort of a starting list I want to discuss as what our expectations as a team would look like. They would push back on me sometimes and say, well, what does this one mean? Or I don't know that I'm comfortable with this. And we would calibrate that to something the entire team understood and could sign up for. And then we'd end up with a list, usually 8, 10, 12 things that were sort of our team expectations that we would then call each other on. And I can tell you that in my experience, the team started functioning enormously better, and a lot of drama went down, a lot of conflict went down, and we started performing better. And so I started teaching that, and I've seen the same results from the folks that I teach or the folks that I train as well, or coach over the years. So it's really powerful stuff.
No, that makes a lot of sense, sir. It's time for question number 3. It is shout out time. Jason, who are you shouting out?
Well, one of the big ones is my mentor, Cy Wakeman. She, someone that has been doing the same kinds of things I've been doing, teaching people better to manage better for years. And she got a hold of me early on and really had a big impact on me. And the other two people that I've been really paying attention to lately, they're bigger names maybe, but Adam Grant, I love his new book and content that's coming out. And also Professor Scott Galloway, I love his book Post-Corona is I think some really good thinking.
Perfect. Appreciate that. Number 4, the final fun question. Jason, tell me about your first sale.
First sale. I've had a lot of first sales throughout my career, but the one that sticks with me is the first sale kind of this version of my career. And it was, I had just decided to part ways with a tech company that I'd been working with. And I ran into a friend of mine and I was telling her, I said, hey, we were at an event together and I said, I need to catch you up on something. And so she's like, well, what's going on? I said, well, I'm leaving, where I've been working and I think I'm going to go out on my own. And she looked at me and she smiled and she's like, thank God. She's like, I'm glad that's what the news was because I really need your help. Nice. And so ended up working with her for a couple of years. So sometimes the best sales are the easiest because it was just a perfect alignment and the time was right. And that really set the course for a lot of work to come. That
is awesome. There, love it there. Jason, you've got 2 minutes and 7 seconds left. You can do some promo time. You can ask me a question. You can talk about the weather, whatever you want. Or since the best note, want to be concise and want to end early, we end early. Go for it.
You know what, Bob, tell me this. You've done a lot of these. What's the piece of advice you've heard on this that you find that has stuck with you the most, the one that you remember the most out of all your guests?
Treat your business like a cup of coffee. Coffee requires 4 things. You need water, heat, beans, and a cup. Now that you have coffee, now focus on the cream and sugar. Because so many people will do the analysis over paralysis or paralysis by analyst, that part there, yep. And not get anything go. Just get the darn black coffee done. Then focus on making it pretty.
Focus on making it pretty. I love that. So here's my my little pitch promo, I guess, if you will, is that, this bit of advice that I just shared is wrapped in a whole bunch of other great management, very practical management advice in a program that I launched last fall called Managing Virtual Teams. It's an online management program. We have another cohort we're launching in July this year. So if you want to go check it out, you go to employeeperformanceacademy.com or you can go to jasonlauritsen.com to find info and add yourself to the waiting list.
Perfect. That works there. That's a good promo there. You got 38 seconds left. Is there anything else you want to add, or we can end early? That's okay.
That's it. Let's end early, Bob.
We're ending early. You pulled it off. 4 questions at 8 minutes and 8 seconds. Jason, why is it 8 minutes and 8 seconds?
Because it looks like Bob.
It does. It does. Your website, say it real quick.
jasonlauritsen.com.
It's in the description. It's magic. Jason, thanks so much for being on. Tip of the hat to you.
Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome. And for everyone else watching or listening, I am legally required to tell you to like, share, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, whatever the heck the social media network tells you all to do. You all have a good day now. Talk to you later. Bye.